I want to give a big shout out to all my patrons, my wildlings, knights watching Kingsguard. My Kingsguard include Brendan, Nick, Oscar, Stuart, Josephine, Ikaika, Amanda, RJ, Shad, Nicoletta, Ezra, Jennifer, Jeffrey, Sarah, Pat, and Kevin. Thank you all so much. You're the best. Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Network, everyone. My name is Jimmy Nuts, and today is November in a nutshell. We've already began the month of December, but I needed to wait a little bit to post this. I'm going to wrap up everything that I read in November and then give you a sneak peek of what's coming in December to close out the year of 2021, as well as we're going to be doing our random Patreon pick where I spin the wheel, but we're actually going to be doing it twice. I feel a little bit charitable. It's the holidays, and I have room for it here at the end of the year. So I figured instead of just picking a book of my own, my awesome patrons have been so loyal, I will spin the wheel twice and test their luck. As far as any announcements go, everything's pretty much the same here at the channel right now, but I did want to say that I will be doing a year-end awards video just like I did last year. I might expand or change on a little bit, but it's going to be a really awesome video. I'm super excited to make it, and then I'll also be doing what I'm looking forward to the most in reading in 2022. So those will be very far at the end of the month. In fact, one of them might even come out in the first week of January, but those will be happening towards the end of the year. So with all the holiday madness, that's another thing to look forward to. But let's talk about November in a nutshell. I'm going to start by talking about how I finished out R. Scott Baker's Prince of Nothing Trilogy, Book 2, which is The Warrior Prophet, and then The Thousandfold Thought. Where does this stand? Oh my goodness. One of my favorite trilogies, like, of all time, without a doubt. Everything from R. Scott Baker's writing to his plot to his characters are all just fascinating to me and feel extraordinarily fresh, and definitely a different take on a lot of the stuff we see in fantasy. Very heavy philosophy, the themes are phenomenal, and it's just become like one of my favorite trilogies ever. And it's crazy because I also just read the Broken Earth trilogy, and that also is one of my favorite trilogies. So it's been a good 2 months for trilogies really here on the channel and for me as a reader. But yeah, The Thousandfold Thought Book 3 and then Warrior Prophet Book 2 are amazing. I think I liked Book 2 just a little bit more than Book 3. It's not that I think Book 3 was a step down anyway, but some of the stuff that's inspected and some of the stuff that happens I thought was really awesome. Very much Book 1 was all about setting up the Holy War. Book 2 was actually coming into that combat. And then Book 3 took in a very meta arena, and I really enjoyed that as well. But I think 2 resonated with me a little bit more. As far as reviews go, you know I already did Book 1. I think I might do Should You Read video maybe on the trilogy, or maybe I'll just cover the entire trilogy or have someone like Mark from Slowly Read on to talk about it, because it's something that deserves a lot more discussion. And I think that it's like top tier fantasy, even though it's not maybe for everyone because of the things that it examines and also the way that it's portrayed, and the devices that are used to relay some of those themes are pretty grotesque and heavy. But I like it. It makes me think, captivated my imagination, and R. Scott Baker is now probably one of my favorite writers when it comes to prose. Whenever he's on, he's one of the best. There are, of course, some quirks in his writing that I noticed, but I think every single writer in the world has those. But regardless, him at his top of his game, probably a top 5 writer for me. R. Scott Baker, excellent. Prince of Nothing trilogy, excellent, and hopefully I get to talk about it more. The next book I want to talk about is one that I've been told to read a zillion times, and that also everyone tells me, read it, but don't worry, you're not going to probably like it that much, and that is Stormfront by Jim Butcher. That's right, Dresden Files book number 1. The whole motivation behind this is the fact that Alan from Library Alexandria was going to be picking it back up. He read it like last year and wanted to read it again, and I said, well, I'll join you. It's short, it's on audio. I'm doing these 99% on audio. And what is there to say about Stormfront? I liked it. I thought it was okay, just like everyone told me it would be. I think it's the most, like, okay book I've ever read, but that's not a bad thing. Like, some people might hear that and go, ugh. But no, I mean, it was good. I had a fun time. It told a cohesive story. There were some moments that I thought were kind of like eye-rolly, a little bit cringe, but again, that's to be expected. Also, urban fantasy is not really my bag, but I liked what I got here. I like Chicago. I think Harry has some interesting personality traits. I think him having a cat is pretty awesome. This is one I probably won't do a review for here on the channel. I'll more than likely wait a couple books, and then me and Alan will probably discuss it at some point. So if you like seeing us, you know, shoot shop or whatever, talk shop, I mean, we're going to be doing that for Dresden at some point. So you can look forward to that down the line. But yeah, I'm happy that I started Dresden. I thought it was fun, and I definitely want to continue. I've seen myself kind of edging towards the Fool's Moon audiobook, so it's going to happen eventually, and I will definitely be continuing with Dresden. Good Omens is the next book I'm going to be talking about, which won the random Patreon pick. That was from my good friend and patron, Derry. Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. I mean, it's a pretty world-renowned book, very famous, has a television show that I'm getting ready to start here in probably the next couple days, and I'm really excited. Where did this land for me? It landed, I believe I gave it a 3.5 or something like that. My star ratings don't mean all that much. My impressions of it, there's some stuff that I absolutely adored about the book, especially just the duo that happens in this book. I found it to be very fun, and I wish there had been a little bit more of that. Whenever the cast got a little bit more extended is where it started to lose me a little bit. And then some of the pop culture references honestly just kind of went over my head. I wasn't super aware of all of the references that were going on, but it has a lot of charm, and I really enjoy the footnotes, which is interesting because I'm not a huge footnote person, but Terry Pratchett, I dig his, and I like it. So it was a good book. I had a good time with it. I'm glad I read it, and I now really want to try some Neil Gaiman, like by himself, and then of course I want to continue with Discworld and Terry Pratchett. But Good Omens was a fun, short, nice read, and it kind of fit into the holidays for some reason, and I really liked it. So Derry, thanks for that pick, and congratulations on the win. And real quick, my two mangas that I read this month are actually the Omnibus Volume 3 for Vinland Saga. I actually did a discussion with my best friend Andrew. You can check it out here on the channel for Vinland Saga Omnibus Book 1 and 2. Which covers like volumes 1 through 4. I love the book 3. We're going to be doing book 4 here in December, and then doing another discussion here on the channel for that. It's going to be called Dudes Talking Manga, which is a whole new series that I'll be doing with my best friend, which is just excellent. And hopefully if you're a big fan of that, you can check that out. And I also read Berserk Deluxe Edition Volume 2, which took Berserk to another level. Everyone told me it would, and they were correct. I think that it is way deeper than the first volume, and I like the tidbits that I got in the first one, but the second volume really impressed me, and I am dying to read Volume 3. I just have to wait for Andrew to catch up, because we're also going to be discussing Berserk on Dudes Talking Manga. So if you're a Berserk fan or a Vinland fan, a lot of content coming down the pipe, long-form conversation with him as I work my way through those two mangas. And I'll be doing other extended mangas like later, but that's what I got in this past month. The Malazan read continues, and last month I got to read The Bone Hunters. And The Bone Hunters, everyone told me it was going to be good. Some people said it would be great. A few even said it would be phenomenal. And it is one of the best books of the year for me. Top 3 for sure. I mean, even if without thinking about it, top 3 for sure. One of my favorite books of all time. What a ridiculous book. I'm not even going to waste any more time talking about it because I'm going to have a long-form discussion, spoiler discussion on that. So if you're a Malazan fan, you want to check that out. But for all those who are just wondering my general thoughts, phenomenal. It's so good. It's like 2 books in one, epic upon epic upon epic moments, and some of Ericsson's best writing as well. So The Bone Hunters was amazing. If you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you know I am a huge fan of Tad Williams. I love Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, so I decided on a whim, because it was really short, to check out Brothers of the Wind, which is a new novella set. I believe it's like a couple thousand years before Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. It's the tale of 2 brothers, but it's told from a servant's perspective, so that's kind of interesting, seeing like the main 2 characters that we care about in the lore from a whole new character's eyes that I wasn't even sure existed. I have not read any of the sequel stuff. I haven't read Heart of What Was Lost or any of that, but I wanted to read this. It was a prequel, figured I could. I'm going to read the rest of Oathsnarr whenever the last 2 books come out that have been split. But yeah, Brothers of the Wind. I may do a review for this on the channel, but I also might not. Kind of weird seeing a Tad book from a first-person perspective, because every book I've read from his has been from third-person limited. But yeah, first-person perspective, I didn't love this book. I thought it was good, but you know, it was fine. It was like 280 pages, and if it was any longer, I probably would have disliked it. But I think it stayed around just that perfect amount of time. I thought it was a wonderful tale, very straightforward, and Tad with some exquisite world building and scene setting. Even in 280 pages, he was getting the most out of every sentence. That's Tad. Tad's always going to be high quality. But as far as story goes, I mean, it felt pretty basic, and at the end of it, I felt like he had started almost a new series. Like I needed to see more. So that was a little bit weird, because this is just a novella, and I wish it maybe had a little bit more closure at the end, and it wasn't so much that I felt like the door was open for a second. Now, it is an encapsulated story that you can read. I do not recommend this if you have not at least read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. So if you're looking for the first Tad book to pick up, this is not it. Don't do that to yourself. You'd be very confused, and I don't think you would have a great time. But yeah, it was good. I was glad to be back in Ostenard, that's for sure. It definitely felt like Ostenard, and it felt like a Tad Williams book, which I always enjoy. But for what it was good. My wife recently read House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and she told me, you got to check this out. It's a book that I already wanted to read, so I decided to, and on our trip home for Thanksgiving, which we had a wonderful time, we listened to the audiobook. It was the perfect amount of time with the speed that we were listening at to finish the book on the car ride to and fro, and it was awesome. Wow, TJ Klune is very, very talented. House in the Cerulean Sea is, it's very cozy. It's a very warm read. Good to read around this time of the year, but also one of the funniest books I think I've ever listened to or read or whatever. This isn't usually my thing, right? Like, I don't do warm and cozy. If I'm going to do something that feels like a little less stakes, I generally would read like Terry Pratchett or something like that. But TJ Klune captivated me, and he made me laugh. Like, I had just a genuine, amazing time, and also being able to talk to my wife, and it was her second read, listening to it with me. It was kind of a reread for her within a month. And just like us both laughing at certain things and her getting to see my reactions, because so often I'm pushing my reads onto her, hoping that she enjoys it as much as me. So for her to get that experience watching me enjoy this book was pretty awesome. And yeah, I mean, House in the Cerulean Sea was a 5-star book. It was amazing. I don't think it's going to hit for everyone, but it's very much advertised as what it is. Lighthearted and a closed-off tale that's funny and warm-hearted and does have a little bit of dark humor. Like, at times I felt like I was actually getting some South Park humor with just the way they approach some of the jokes and the dialogue. But TJ Klune has my respect. I'm going to read more TJ Klune in the future, and maybe I'll do a discussion video with my wife, and we can talk about how we came out with the book. And I know we both loved it, so that was pretty great. I said I wasn't going to get to it this year. I said I was going to push it back, all these things, but guess what? I fulfilled the last book on my must-read for 2021 that I made last year, and that is I read The Steel Remains by Richard K. Morgan. He is the author that did Altered Carbon, which a lot of people, obviously know from the Netflix show and whatnot. This is something that I know Joe Abercrombie was a big fan of. It was written in like 2007. It is grimdark. I have a ton of thoughts on this, and I'm going to do a review for this book because my feelings are mixed. Like, I'm mostly positive, but there are some things that I don't like about this book that didn't necessarily mesh with me and my taste. But I think it's fascinating, and I think it has some of the coolest world building, and I'm going to cover this all in a review, and I don't want to give any of it away now, but if you've ever been interested, or you're a grimdark fan, or you hear Joe Abercrombie recommending something and you're interested, wait for that review and check it out. But with The Steel Remains, mostly positive, but a book that I have not stopped thinking about since I finished it. And the last book I want to mention in my wrap-up is, of course, the Song of Ice and Fire reread, Plows On with A Clash of Kings. One of my favorite sequels ever. I absolutely adore this book. There was a lot more to it than I remember from all the other times I've read it. We did a discussion on Alex Nevaez's channel. That was Alex, me, and Leanna, and we had a blast. I think it was like 2.5 hours long. And yeah, just a really good time. This reread is going so well. I know a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it in the Patreon Discord, and then those chats are packed. People are in the chat throwing out theories and stuff. I mean, it's just a good time. And at the end of the day, I know people have a lot to say about George, and there's a lot of frustration and the show, all this stuff. Just forget it. I mean, the books that we have, in my opinion, are great. And they do generate a lot of really good discussion in their own right. And Clash of Kings is encapsulated around that, the War of the Five Kings and Blackwater Bay and all this stuff happening at the Wall. Like, there's still a good book, an installment there. And that's, I think that's the case with pretty much every one of these books. So I'm thankful for what we have, and this reread has been immensely enjoyable for me. And I'm just going to note, I did start Reaper's Gale in November, as well as Song of Achilles, but I'll cover those on my wrap-up for December. Now it's time to spin the wheel. So we had an influx on the Patreon, and a bunch of people added their picks, so this is going to get pretty crazy. Last month, one person's won, but 2 people had picked that book, so a lot of fresh picks here on the board. Like I said, this month, holidays, I'm in a given mood. Let's spin it twice. Why not? I appreciate all my patrons. I want to thank you if you're watching this, and best of luck to you as we spin this. If whatever wins, I will take off of the wheel for the second spin, and we'll find out what I got on the slate for December right now. I love this, the noise. It's fantastic. I know it's not focused, by the way, but we'll figure it out. So that is, it almost focused. Nicoletta has won. Nicoletta, who has a BookTube channel, and I will link that down in the description. Senlin Ascends which means I will be starting a whole new series again, and I'm laughing because I said that this wheel pushes me to start new series, and I love it, but at the same time, it causes so much chaos in my TBR. Josiah Bancroft's Babel series has been one that's been recommended to me over and over and over again. So Nicoletta, congratulations. I know that you're going to be fired up, but I think also a lot of other people have been telling me to read this for a long time are going to be fired up. I plan on reading it next year anyways, and it looks like I'll just have to start this month. And guys, please go check out Nicoletta's channel. It's Read by Night. I'll have it linked down in the description below. And go give her some love. Check out her videos. She does a wonderful job over there. And Nicoletta, thanks again for the pick. And now for the first time ever, we're going to do a second random pick from the Patreon wheel for the month of December. What do we got? What am I reading? It looks like Kev's pick has won with 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I've been wanting to read more Stephen King, but I read all of Dark Tower this year, so I kind of put off a lot of his books into my little bit further back in the TBR. I think multiple people had this pick. I'm trying to look. I think Pat had this and maybe one other person. But yeah, it's going to be 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Some people's favorite Stephen King book. Kev also has a booktube channel that I will link in the description below, so make sure to go check out his channel as well. He's new, has really good quality, and does some pretty good book hauls, and a good channel over there. Kev, thank you so much for the pick. So that means that I will be doing Cerulean Ascends at 11/22/63 in the month of December. And really quick, as far as other things I'll be reading, A Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin, as we continue the Song of Ice Fire reread. That discussion will be on my channel, and it will be in the last week of December, so be on the lookout for that, a specific date in my community tab. I'll probably also announce it in a video at some point. But yeah, Storm of Swords is my favorite book of all time, and being able to do the discussion on my channel is awesome, and I can't wait. And then other than that, we have Song of Achilles, which I've actually already finished, and Reaper's Gale, which is Malazan Book 7 by Stephen Erickson, which I've already finished, but I'll talk about that in a review and a wrap-up next month and all that good stuff. And then the other book that I am reading right now is Cage of Souls by Adrian Shafkowski. I'm reading that because Alan's reading it this month, and honestly, I had room for it, and I want to try out some of his work because he writes so much, so I'm hoping it's a hit for me about halfway through, and I have some thoughts on that, and I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that that is going to do it. Obviously, I have 11/22/63 by Stephen King, and then I also have Cerulean Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I may try to listen to Return of the King to finish my Lord of the Rings reread that I started like, I don't know, guys, like 14 months ago. I may try that, or I might just do The Hobbit. I don't know. We'll listen to something on audio on our way home for the holidays. But everyone, what are you reading in the month of December? What'd you read in November? Let me know down in the comments. Also, I hope you're having a good month. I hope the holidays are good for you. Try to relax. Try to get some reading time in. Get your favorite warm drink. Sit by the fire. All that good stuff. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the video. If you liked the video, hit like. If you disliked it, hit dislike. If you loved it, think about subscribing. The Patreon's down in the description. Optional, but always welcome. Then you get to add picks to the random wheel, which is always fun, at least for the winners, I guess. And best of luck to everyone on the next spins. But until I see you next time, be good, be safe, and remember to always keep turning the page.